I've been shooting photos for well over 10 years, and these are my top 3 tips to guarantee tack sharp images so that you never deliver blurry photos ever again. Watch all the way through the end for a bonus 4th tip. Tip number 1, make sure your shutter speed is set correctly. Now this has to do actually with your focal length. A good rule of thumb is to make sure that your shutter speed is at least 1 over whatever your shutter speed is. So for example, with my 70 to 200 here, if I'm shooting at 200 millimeters, then I need to make sure that my shutter speed is at least 1/200th of a second. If your subject is moving, you need to go even faster, like 1/500th of a second or even faster. That said, I often find myself never going below 1/60th of a second. Even when shooting wide, like 24, 35, or 50 millimeters, I never go below 1/60th of a second if I'm shooting handheld. This helps to mitigate any unintentional camera movement that may cause blurry images due to motion blur. Tip number 2 is stabilization. If you're using a lens that has a stabilizer built in, make sure you have that turned on while you're shooting photos. This will help to mitigate camera shake from your hands, or maybe you have to get yourself into a position where you don't have the greatest grip on the camera. Make sure you have stabilization in the lens turned on. If you're using a lens that does not have stabilization, one of the most effective things you can do is, if you're shooting, especially through your viewfinder, make sure that you keep your elbows tucked in towards your body and the camera pressed up against your face. This gives you 3 points of contact: your face, your hands, and your elbows up against your ribs. This can help to mitigate unwanted camera shake as well. So keep those elbows tucked in. You don't want to be out here, you want to keep them tucked in all the time. If you're shooting in live view, more or less the same applies. One hand under your lens, the other hand, a nice firm grip on your camera's grip, tuck your elbows in, and kind of press everything towards the center of your body. If you have a camera strap, you can also do that around your neck and pull up against the camera strap until it's tight. And this will also help to limit any unintentional movement. If you're doing long exposures, I'm sorry, but handheld just isn't gonna work very well. Do yourself a favor and grab a tripod. As soon as you slap the thing on a tripod, you're gonna have a much more stable shooting platform, and you can do exposures more or less as long as you want and not have to worry about camera movement causing your photos to be blurry. So again, if you're handheld, press the camera into your body and make sure you keep your elbows tucked in. If you're on a tripod, pretty self-explanatory. If you got one, use it, especially if you're doing long exposures. Tip number 3, autofocus. This is something that I feel a lot of people can tend to overlook because they just trust that, oh, if the camera says it's in focus, it's in focus. It might not actually be in focus. If you are using a DSLR, the most accurate focus point is the one in the very center of your viewfinder. Your center autofocus point is always more accurate than any of the other focus points in your camera. Use that center point and make sure your camera is set to single point autofocus. That way it's not trying to track or get confused by other elements that are in your frame. Set it to center point, single autofocus for the most accurate results. And if you're not center framing, you can always focus and then recompose and take your shot. This will make sure that you get tack sharp focus by eliminating the possibility that your camera essentially gets the focus wrong. If you're using a mirrorless camera, from my experience, the same applies. Generally sticking around the center focus point area seems to yield much better, much more accurate autofocus results. If you are using a lens that has manual focus, most cameras, if you're shooting in live view on a DSLR, or if you're using a mirrorless, allow you to magnify your subject or zoom in before you take your photo so that you can make sure you have your focus dialed to exactly where you want it. It takes more time, but it basically guarantees you'll get a tack sharp photo every single time. So if you like to use manual focus, zoom in and check your focus before you take the photo to make sure that you have it exactly where you want it. For those of you who stuck to the end, I have a bonus 4th tip, and that is ISO. high ISO numbers can quite often reduce detail in your image. So there's two ways to get around this. Number one, slow your shutter speed down and use a tripod to avoid having to pump your ISO up super high. Or if that's not an option and you do have to pump your ISO, then turn all noise reduction in the camera off. That way you have fine control over the noise reduction in editing and can preserve details, rather than the camera trying to do it for you and being overly aggressive and reducing detail. Future Paul jumping in here real quick to let you know that I've actually created a free guided checklist resource. I'll link it down below in the description. This is for you to take, and you can refer back to it as often as you need to while you're out on the field to make sure that you're doing everything that you need to do to get sharp shots while you're out on the field. So if you're interested in that, there's a link down below in the description. It's free. Enjoy. These are the tips that I have found to be the most helpful and effective when it comes to shooting photos over the last 10 years. Let me know down below in the comments if these tips worked for you. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask away. I love answering, and you might just get your question featured in another video. With that said, don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out some of my other videos. You might just learn something. That's it for me for now, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.